You know, folks, one of the things that we really haven't spent much time with or talking about is photography. After you've gotten your Christmas trees growing up a certain height, the photographers will start to call and they'll say, "Hey, we want to rent your farm out for some mini sessions or whatever." Well, some farmers say, "No, we're not going to do that. We're not going through that. We don't have the time for it." But then others say, "Well, yeah, that might be another source of a little bit of extra income coming in." So uh, that is one thing that I have found that can be very profitable if it's managed right. Let's talk about that. Folks, photography can be a really good extra source of income for your Christmas tree farm, especially in the late fall, depending upon how many deciduous trees you have around or how many Christmas trees you have around. You know, a lot of photographers will call and they'll want to rent out certain time slots on your farm to do Christmas mini sessions for their customers. And this is a good thing. Don't sell yourself short. Don't be afraid to charge them. That's one of the reasons that we're out here. Is to make memories, obviously, but also we do it and we make a little money when we do that. So one other thing that I would suggest: make sure you vet these photographers. Make sure you require things of them. For example, what we require here, we require that they have certain time slots. We require that they have insurance, and we get proof of insurance before they come on the field. We require a security deposit in case that they, for some reason, fail to keep their appointed time. There's just a lot of things that you can require of them that sort of weeds out the ones that are sort of fly by night, or the ones that you might think or might see that might give you some trouble down the road with not obeying the rules. But I just wanted you to notice, that you can have one photographer on one set of the farm, another photographer on another set of the farm, and you can have as many as three or four, depending on how big your farm is. But you know, uh, that is one of the things that we try to do here at Ralston Acres is to have a certain block of time, about 3 or 4 weeks, where we can accommodate photographers to come on the field for mini sets. Okay, let me show you some equipment that we use here on the farm, besides um, the ones that we have already mentioned. To trim trees, this right here is one of the first things I'm going to bring up. This is the Easy Lift harness. You can find these in some Christmas tree supply wholesalers, or excuse me, retailers, or you can look up Easy Lift harness online and you can find these. These are so great, so much easier to operate the machinery that we operate because of the fact that it takes a lot of the weight off of your arms and shoulders. I'm just going to show you how this one works. There's the attachment, and I just clip it to this machine right here, and I can just balance this on 2 fingers. This really helps out. This is a Beneke. This has got your, excuse me, here we got your working in there. And here's the motor right here. This is an Echo motor. It's a pretty good arrangement to sculpt trees, to shape trees, to give them that shape. And basically the motion that you give is this right here. And you walk around the tree and give it that Christmas tree shape. How do you know what shape? Just look at Christmas trees, see sort of what the angle that you want to make them. Some people make them a little fatter than others, but cut off everything that doesn't look like the Christmas tree in your mind. It sounds simple, but it takes a lot of practice. And by practicing this right here, you can do it. This is the first machine that we had. This is the Beneke trimmer. I suggest this is a good starter machine towards sculpting trees. When do you sculpt them? When they're about waist high. When they're about waist high. That's when I was told the best time to start trimming trees. Now, if you have bigger trees, or if you'd like to have something different, this tree trimmer here is what we have used as well. This is a steel, basically it's a hedge trimmer on a pole. You see the blade in here, and this is the engine end right here. It's just your regular, it's a steel engine, very dependable, and you use the same hookup and the same motion on trimming the trees. So, you know, it is also a piece of equipment you might not want to buy the first year, but maybe the second year that you, or third year that you in the business to start trimming trees that are already maybe somewhat given that first shape. I like the Beneke for the original shape. This right here maintains that shape. Some farmers use this exclusively. It's simply personal preference, whichever you want to do. One thing I would bring up about both machines is to keep them maintained, obviously, but I get some resin or sap remover, and I'll spray it on these right here just to keep, because you're cutting trees, evergreens, conifers. I would, and in firs, I would give this a good cleaning up about at least every other time that you're trimming trees. Not only this one, but the Beneke as well. Safety is of utmost importance. We got to be safe with our machines because they've got blades that can hurt you. Trust me, I've been there, done that. Had a little altercation one time with the end of a Beneke blade, and it almost cost me the end of my finger. So I'm very careful with that. You've got to be extremely careful with any farm equipment, but especially with the blades on these machines because they are sharp, and you want them to be sharp because they need to be cutting. Easy lift harness, Beneke trimmer, and basically a hedge trimmer. You can get those from steel dealers. You can get them from other hedge trimmer dealers. Any local hardware store would probably have them. Make sure that you get them from a place where you can have them serviced. But the uh, the trimmers are a very important part of our Christmas tree season because we try to trim at least once a year. Some trees require it twice a year, but I believe you can over trim a tree as well because you're giving it that open wound to that tree that diseases from the outside can get in, and uh, so I try to take my trimming and um, be very cautious that not I don't over trim the trees. Again, here's the easy lift harness, uh, and you can get online to get it. But trimming trees once a year, at least twice a year, and would as they need it. What I try to do, and I've learned this from another farmer, is I try to trim the trees that maybe I'm not going to sell the first year. I'll trim them maybe in the spring and start giving them that shape, and then look at them later in the year and see how they're filling out. If I need to give them a little nip and tuck here and there, I can. But the ones I'm going to sell that I've trimmed over the years and have that sort of good shape, I may wait until late summer, early fall, maybe like in August, first part of August, and trim those trees up, give them a light trimming so that the customer will have a nicely shaped Christmas tree when we get ready to sell them in November and December. Um, I don't know that the customers like that real trimmed look, just real tight. I think they like the ones I have here like a more natural look to them. So that's why you don't want to over trim your trees. But with that all put together, if you can, and I know there's probably some more questions out there about it, that will get you through your tree trimming season. But at any rate, we'll take the next topic. Okay, as we talk about trimming trees, there's a couple of things that I have learned that I use here on our farm that might help you as you get started. Um, One of the things is uh, when do you start the trimming process? Well, I like to let the trees get, and I was told this by a tree farmer that had been in the business forever and ever, and he told me, he says, start trimming them, give them that Christmas tree shape when they're about waist high. I wonder why the waist high. Well, that's, you can measure that in a certain number of feet. That might be 3 feet or 3.5 feet, something like that. Well, I think that's because it gives the tree time to get its roots in the ground, get established, get everything down there in good shape so that it can withstand the trimming that you're going to do on the tree. I have found that if you trim, especially your conifers, your things like your Murray cypress, Leland cypress, the blue eye cypress. I don't know so much about pines, but I would say the pines as well. Um, they're not so much on firs. I'm not an expert. By the way, I'm never an expert, but but the things that you have to look about firs is a little bit different than your conifers. But um, when you're trimming these, you're going to give them that Christmas tree shape, and you want the tree to be able to take that cutting, that trimming back, because it's going to open this tree up to wound. But if you trim it too short, when it's too short, it starts to bush out too early, and especially if you were to cut that top that leader, the terminal leader that comes up, when you start doing that, then you're subject to making a bush shape, and that's not good. I've done that, so so that's what you want to stay away from. But just to give you an example, this is a blue ice that I just started shearing not too long ago. I usually start trimming these trees in the spring, in the I'll say around mid-April, early May. I'm in Northwest Georgia, so Southern Tennessee area, of Zone 7B. We're in pretty good shape with doing that. Now, what I do is I just give it the Christmas tree. This one's already been trimmed last year, and now it's had a chance to get up there about maybe 4.5 feet, and it's time for it to be trimmed again. This one may have been trimmed even the year before. I'm not sure, but I do know that it started being trimmed when it was about this high, maybe that's waist high to me, and it's grown another couple of feet since then. So what we do is we just trim off what doesn't look like a Christmas tree. It gives it that sort of a Christmas tree shape. Now, one thing to remember, you are cutting the ends of these limbs. And on these particular trees, wherever you cut that limb, if it's not cutting into green, then it's going to stop. It's going to pretty much stop that growth outward, but it will start to bush out. For example, right here on this limb right here that I cut, um, it 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 actually stopped growing from the this particular stem, but it also put out these little appendages on the sides, and it's starting to bush up. And that's what you want to see in the Christmas trees. You don't most customers I have like to see them full. They don't like to see them sparse. I do have some that buy them when they're sort of sparse looking, but they like them, I think, more often when they're somewhat full. But another thing to remember, when you're cutting these trees, you're leaving an open wound. So, this invites diseases and things like this into your tree. So what I try to do is to trim these when I'm going to have at least a full day, if not a little more, but full day of dry weather. That allows them to harden off, and it sort of keeps the diseases at bay as much as you can. But that's what I do. Now, another thing that I would suggest is if you were to be one of these people that spray, and you're going to spray these trees with an insecticide or fungicide, uh, I like to do it not too long after you have cut or trimmed these back. That gives it that other layer of protection from fungus, and that's really what in this area 7B. That's about what we're having to watch for starting in May and not ending until September. So that's part of when you trim the tree, and a little bit of how you trim the tree. You've seen about the equipment. So maybe with that, if nothing else, it's provoked some other questions you might have, and we'd be more than happy to entertain those in future videos. If you'd like to send us a comment on that, we'll be happy to talk more in depth with the trimming aspect of Christmas trees. But, well, as you can see, there's a lot to Christmas tree growing. I've said that many times before. It's a marathon, not a sprint. These things you have to, as I did, I learned as I did. I learned as I go. And the good thing about it is it takes for most of these trees about 4 years before they're going to be a viable or sellable Christmas tree. And it gives you time to sort of, they're slower growing, and it gives you time to sort of learn as you go. And the mistakes you make, and you're going to make them. They're small mistakes, not big mistakes. So with all that said, I'm going to end this video, and I certainly appreciate you tuning in to us. Thank you for watching. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our channel. Well, we'd love to have you as a subscriber. It costs you absolutely nothing. It can only help us, and we do appreciate that. Also, if you want to give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, to tell us whether you like the content or not, that'll be great. More thumbs up, the better. And also in the comments section, if you've got any comments that you'd like to leave for maybe future videos or something that you'd like to learn more about, we'll be more than happy to entertain that and possibly incorporate that in other videos that we do. So thanks again, and we will see you next time on Farming Around the Christmas Tree.